Hello everybody, Vic here with another video, and today we're talking how to fix Friday 13th, 2009. Is it a remake, a reboot, a sequel? Who the hell knows, but I do know that it is a good sequel, a solid sequel in the series. I saw this movie opening weekend when it first came out. Was super excited. Think about this. It was, damn near 8 years since the previous Friday 13th. Freddy vs. Jason was the last one to come out, so it'd been a long time. We were starving for some Jason, so was super excited this opening weekend. Just like we're starving right now. I mean, at this point, it's been freaking 16 years since the last Friday 13th movie came out. We need a new one very soon. But let's talk about this movie, of course, in the comments. Let me know your thoughts on Friday 13th, 2009. How would you fix the movie? And of course, hit the like button, the thumbs up, subscribe if you have not. So let's talk about this movie. This movie is, again, we don't know exactly what it is. It's not really a sequel. To me, what they were trying to do with this movie was take elements from the first four Friday 13ths, combine them together into one stew. And do they do a good job of that? For the most part, yes. This movie definitely has some of the better elements with the first four Friday 13ths, combine them together. Okay, let me start with what I like about this movie. The entire opening, the entire pre-credits, a solid 20 minutes before we get to the opening credits, this entire sequence with these characters who we think maybe are our actual characters we're going to follow throughout the movie, but most of them get killed off right here in the first 20 minutes. But this whole opening thing is fantastic in terms of establishing the tone of the movie, the setting of the movie, establishing Jason's a freaking badass. This whole opening 20 minutes is amazing. It's probably the best opening sequence in the entire Friday 13th franchise. So big props to that. I would say that the characters, for the most part, I don't mind them in this movie. They're not in like my top 3 or 4 top character combinations, friend groups in the series by any stretch, but they're not like offensively bad in terms of their character development. They're mostly going for sort of cliches and stereotypes there. And you can see even with the characters how they're kind of channeling some of the characters from the earlier movies. Like, for example, Lawrence and Chewie to me feel exactly like Ted and Jimbo from Friday 13th Final Chapter. And you have a great human villain in Trent who's kind of channeling past human villains like Melissa and Dr. Cruz. And so I think there's some fun characters here. They're not offensive in any way. It's kind of like I feel about the characters like I felt about Rowan and Jason X. The characters here are not memorable per se to me, but they're also, they don't leave an impression where like they're my favorite characters in the series, but they also aren't characters that I hate. So it's kind of neutral on the characters. For the most part, for a Friday 13th film, it does a pretty good job of making you don't really care about the characters at any point, but you also don't want to see them killed immediately. You're not like, these people are so damn annoying, get them off my screen immediately like some of the sequels are. So, characters okay. Opening's fantastic. The kills themselves are great. Chewie's death, man, I'll tell you what. That thing is so slow burning and so brutal. That thing was crazy. That was a great death scene. I like the death scene in the lake. The whole thing, actually, with the guy getting, the arrow on the boat and then the girl underneath the dock thing. That was cool. Like, all the death scenes in here are pretty fantastic. Again, in terms of deaths, I would say it's probably top 5 in the franchise in terms of like collective death scenes in Friday 13th film. The overall Crystal Lake setting, I mean, I guess we want to call it the Crystal Lake setting, whatever you want to call it. It's pretty solid. I mean, it's 2010, so you're not going to get that early Friday 13th feel. Like, no matter what they do here, they can't recreate that feeling of the earlier Friday 13th films. And that's okay. I mean, those have a certain 80s aesthetic that just can't be replicated no matter what they do now. It's just like, Halloween Kills. Everybody loves the flashback sequence. But even to me, even the flashback sequence, as well made as it might be, it can't replicate the feeling of the initial 80s aesthetic from earlier 80s films. So that can't be done, but it's still a pretty good setting. It feels modern. So I do like the setting here for the most part. The music and the score, although not a standout, again, it's not offensive, doesn't bring the movie down. So the movie, for the most part, gets everything right in terms of all the sort of ambiance type stuff, the background things. Now, what do I not love about the movie? Well, let's talk about Jason himself. I know Jason, played by Derek Mears, is mostly praised in this movie by fans. And I understand. I mean, Jason's a complete badass. I mean, Jason's maybe never been as intimidating as he is here. And this is human Jason, essentially. This is not even zombie Jason, just with how big and monstrous and demonstrably huge that Jason Mears is. It just makes Jason a really intimidating figure. But that said, and what I'm about to say is going to be not really a popular opinion because I know how popular Jason from this movie is with a lot of fans. But for me, Jason here feels a little bit too much like Predator. I don't love the interpretation of Jason being that savvy as a hunter. I understand that earlier Friday films made hinted at the idea that Jason, of course, had built a shack, had pretty much survived in the woods growing up. So there's reasons to believe that he would be handy with tools and be kind of a woodsman and be crafty and stuff. But I don't know, something about the bow and arrow and those things. It feels more like Predator to me than it does Jason. I would just make Jason, be as intimidating as possible, have him be such a monstrous force and all that, but maybe a less skilled monster. I don't know. It just it feels like it's not the Jason that I grew up loving, pretty much. I mean, there's something sloppy and sort of reckless and kind of woodsy and like not of normal human variety type that Jason represents from the earlier films. And here he feels more just like a skilled human being that's wearing a mask. Like it doesn't have the feel of, it doesn't have like a supernatural feel in any stretch, but just something like kind of more sloppy here. Jason's almost too refined. He's too polished in this movie. And that may not make sense to anybody, but it's just me comparing Jason to the Jason that I grew up loving. I know it's a different interpretation, similar to how Rob Zombie's Halloween is a different interpretation with that huge lumbering Michael Myers. I feel like bigger's not always better. But again, overall, Jason looks amazing in this film, so it's not any kind of negative. But just for me, I would not make him as woodsy. I would not make him such a skilled hunter in that way, where it kind of feels more like Predator out there. What else? Well, plotline wise, for the most part, the movie has your generic Friday 13th plot. I mean, you have characters stupidly coming to the woods for a weekend of fun, not knowing they're all going to mostly get slaughtered by Jason. I mean, that's just par for the course. That's our normal Friday 13th storyline. We're combining Rob from Friday 13th Final Chapter. We have that character who's here to find his sister. Thankfully, in this movie, he's not getting killed while screaming, "Hey, Skelly, me! Hey, Skelly, me! Trish, run! Trish, run!" So thankfully, we don't get that scene. In terms of Jason taking the sister hostage, I don't know. Someone has to explain this to me in the comments. Does that make sense, Jason taking a hostage? Like, I don't know. I guess he's thinking that, hey, she looks like the mom, and he did take the mom's head, and he did have the shrine about the mom in Friday 13th Part 2. So I guess there is a precedence to it, but with all that time there, I would think at a certain point, Jason would figure out that, hey, this is not my mom. Even if she looks like my mom, it's not my mom. So I don't know what they were really going for that with Jason having the hostage, but maybe let that part go and just have him kill the sister. Because if you kill the sister, you fix another problem, which is we have the wrong final girl because you set up Jenna, who is our likable would-be final girl, and then you kind of just throw her to the sheep. You kind of just like slaughter her to have the brother-sister story, have the original final girl be the final girl. But at that point in the story, I think we care more about Jenna, and I think Jenna should have been the final girl here. That's just a thing that isn't a detraction of the movie. That's just my personal preference. I know that horror films always have to make a choice of what characters to keep and what characters to kill off. And it's not doesn't mean if the character is more likable that it's the right choice for them to live. Sometimes there's more power, there's more shock factor, shock value, more stakes if you kill off the likable character. So I understand that with Jenna. It feels like when you get to the final girl, the final guy thing, it's like, which characters do you have the most emotional stake in, and can we see them as the final people? And in this case, I feel like Jenna had more emotional investment than the other girl did. But again, it goes back to, I don't know why Jason was keeping her hostage in the first place. So, I mean, whatever. So now, in terms of the reception of this movie, it's pretty interesting because I usually hear fans say nothing about good things about this film, but it's only a 5.5 on IMDb. It's kind of surprising. I would think this actually have a better reputation amongst general fans, but apparently not. That said, this movie made $91 million at the box office, which really, really makes it hard to believe that there hasn't been a Friday 13th film since then. Even back then, I mean, man, if they had the 80s mindset, that much damn money, by 2011, you would have had, a sequel of this. By 2012, you would have had a 3D sequel. You'd had a fake final chapter by 2014. Roy eating Jason's heart by 2015, coming back, a new beginning. Like, it's shocking that the franchise has remained dormant since this movie. And sometimes when that's happened in the past, you blame the last sequel. You're like, man, that movie was so bad it killed the franchise. But it's really not the case here. This is a respectable sequel and had a huge box office. So it's hard to believe. I mean, obviously the rights battle, all that stuff kind of got in the way, but can we get another Friday 13th film in theaters? It's been 16 damn years. I know they're supposedly working on one, so we'll see how that turns out. But Okay, any other pet peeves I have about the film outside of just the basic kind of plot things and Jason himself? Not really. I mean, it'd have been nice to either leave Chewie or Lawrence alive just for the shock factor. Those two characters are clearly here to be comedic relief and comedic value, and those characters usually don't last long in horror films, so you kind of know from the get go that they're not going to make it out. But maybe just having one of them survive would be a fun inclusion to the ending. Um, but again, I understand they both have pretty solid death scenes, so I understand the argument to kill them both either. Shout out to Trent, who again is a great villain here. That guy is always a great villain. He plays the same damn character in the Transformers movie as well. Um, Not much else to really complain about. Like I said, it's one of those sequels that again, it doesn't inspire that much thought. And that's the main thing I would say about this movie. Like, for better or worse, I don't come away with a lot of complaints, but I also don't think anything's particularly memorable here. It's like the definition of like a middle of the road does just enough things right to be fun for the fans, but it doesn't really stand out in any huge way. So that's kind of feel about it. I mean, I kind of probably feel this way about this how I feel about New Blood. New Blood, I also feel is kind of one of the sequels where mostly, if you ask fans, fans like it, but when you analyze the movie, not much stands out about it. But it's kind of a middle of the road, straight line forward sequel. But I don't put this on the level of Final Chapter or Jason Lives. Now, the real question is this better than the original Friday 13th? That's something that should be debated because for me personally, I'm not that high on the original Friday 13th. I know that some people hold it in super high regard because it's the OG, it set the table, all those things. But for me, the original Friday 13th is a highly overrated horror film. But I know some people love it. I would say that if you're a younger person, then this Friday 13th from 2009 will probably be a little bit more palatable than the original Friday 13th. Uh, but it's going to be personal preference at that point. I think probably 2009 is a little bit better made than Sean Cunningham's Friday 13th. But I wouldn't take 2009 over Friday 13th Part 2 or Friday 13th Part 4 or Friday 13th Part 6. To me, it's in that middle category with Friday 13th Part 3, Friday 13th Part 7. It's avoiding the lesser sequels for sure. I mean, this is definitely not for me on the low level of A New Beginning. But to each their own. I mean, it's all subjective how you rank these movies. But overall, that's pretty much my thoughts on the film. Again, the characters are not offensive. Jason himself does feel like Predator. I mean, overall, I understand Derek Mears does a fantastic job and Jason looks great, but characterization-wise, I like Jason to be kind of a sloppy killer, if that makes sense. Human Jason. If it's zombie Jason, that's different, but this is clearly supposed to be human Jason. And what a wonderful opening 20 minutes. Probably the best opening in the entire franchise. So yeah, it's just a movie that doesn't inspire that much thought for me. Like, it's rewatchable, it's fun, middle of the road, but I don't think about it that much. It's not one that I hold in the highest regard, but I also don't hold it on the bottom tier. Let me know in the comments your feelings on the remake of, I guess, are we calling it a remake? I don't know. Is it a remake? Who the hell knows? But Friday 13th, 2009, let me know what you think. And until next time, you guys take care.